to thank every one of you for the conversations you are creating, for you are, in these dialogues, bringing up very powerful issues and ideas that are going far beyond the room you are in, to others listening in, who are, in that sense, learning from your experiences in a variety of ways. So regardless of what each and every one of you may individually feel you are or are not getting out of these interactions, please believe us when we tell you you are having a profoundly beneficial, beautiful effect on many other beings who are part and parcel of this interaction that may not be visible to you, who applaud your willingness not only to share of your experiences, but also your willingness to have placed yourself in an experience of such profound depth and profound process. None of what you experience in your life in any way, shape, or form goes to waste. There are many, many whose lives will be profoundly changed by what you yourselves have been willing to experience in your earth incarnations over thousands of years. We applaud your strength. We applaud your willingness to experience limitation. We applaud your willingness at times to experience profound darkness or confusion. We extend to you our deepest thanks and appreciation for the service you are providing to many others within creation by your choices. On that, let us continue the remainder with sharing and exploration together.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Have you a good day. I'm a little worried because my English is a little bit not that strong as other people.
All right.
And my question also personal, so that's one reason I worry.
Take your time so that everyone may hear what you have to share. Just relax.
Okay. Well, this is also my first class here, so maybe also question will be maybe a little bit different because
doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, basically, I would like to share my situation that I experience in a personal relationship with one person.
Keep it brief.
And the problem, I been in a relationship for like over 12 years.
Yes.
And I don't understand, it's kind of back and forth. So basically, I don't know how to finish circle. So the question is like, should I change my belief and finish circle in which way? Basically, to stay in the relationship or not.
What you simply always have to decide is whether or not the relationship is still something that can serve you and serve the other person by continuing in the form that it is continuing. You have to allow yourself to understand what relationships are for. Relationships are for each person in the relationship to reflect to the other what they need to know to become more of who they are. If you believe in any relationship that you have arrived at a point where you are not really serving each other, where you are not allowing each other to grow, where the vibrations in both of you are incompatible in that way, then perhaps the best thing you can do for a relationship is to let each other go so that you can attract yourself to individuals with whom you really need to interact and allow yourself to find out more of who you are. If in discussing it with each other you believe there is still learning and growth that can occur from it, then by all means you can decide to allow it to continue, but communication is the key. If there is not clear communication about what each individual in the relationship is in the relationship for, and not clear communication between the individuals about the idea that they are there to learn more of who they each are about themselves, to grow, then if there is not clear communication, you are not really in a relationship anyway.
Okay, well, the problem is I can really grow in this relationship because each time I interact with this person, he teach me something, and I'm teaching
Yes.
this person too. But this thing that like we're not like a couple, like I mean we're not married, but we've been like on and off in a relationship dating, and another thing when we're basically not together, we're learning from other relationship either. So the
Yeah.
question we don't know if we need to continue together learn or like keep.
It is
from
not an
other.
issue of need. It is simply an issue of choosing what you prefer. If the definition of what is going on in the relationship is a definition of what you prefer in a relationship, keep going. If the definition of the relationship and what is going on in the relationship is not the definition that you prefer, change it. It's as simple as that. You have to decide what the definition is that you prefer. We understand you can always get something out of a relationship. You can always learn. But you are also allowed to choose a definition of a relationship that you prefer. And if it has some things that you prefer, but some things you don't, you may have to understand that in an overall sense, it may not be a relationship that you prefer, unless you prefer the back and forth.
No, really, that's the. I'm confused because I prefer to be with one person and basically grow together and not to like on and off, type of.
Then if that is what you are making as a statement of your preference, you have answered your own question. Find an individual with whom you can share a relationship that is of a definition you prefer a relationship to be. And if you don't prefer the on and off, that's not the relationship you prefer. And it doesn't mean that you will not necessarily stay in contact, but if that's not the way you prefer a primary relationship to be, if a primary relationship is what you want, then you have to understand and hear yourself that you have now defined what you prefer. Allow yourself to make room for it in your life so that you can attract it. Because if you don't make room for it, you won't attract it. You understand?
Okay.
Does that help you?
Well, so I should not consider in the situation like this other person opinion, like, the person with whom I am, like he kind of like it, keep it the way he wanted, so.
Is that what you prefer? No.
No, yeah.
Then what else is there to say? Again,
because
if you have communicated with the other person what it is you prefer in a relationship, if they want something different, there is obviously an incompatibility in your preferences. So if you decide that what you prefer is different than what they prefer, you have to do what is best for you and let them decide for themselves what is best for them. If they have attracted themselves to you and you prefer something different, then they must deal with the fact that they've attracted themselves to someone who does not want what they want. And by letting them go, you give them the opportunity, whether they understand it now or not, to find someone they would in that sense be more compatible with. They may think they want to keep what they have with you, but what they're actually saying is they prefer something that you don't prefer. So let them find someone who prefers the same thing they do. Just as you will find someone who prefers the same thing you do. Does that make sense? That's actually how you help each other. Because again, remember, as I said, that's what relationships are for. Sometimes, if what you prefer and the other person prefers are too different, then the best thing you can actually do to help each other in the relationship is let each other find another relationship that works for them best.
Oh, okay, but there seems like a problem still for me. I understand this point very much. Thank you very much. But seems like this person just won't continue only with me this type of relationship. Means like he want me to be his friend, to care for him, to feel for him. He doesn't care other people.
Well,
care
again,
for him. He want
what's
me.
the difference?
So if
what's
I go,
the difference?
No, because if I go to other, he coming back, So he doesn't let me go to and keep other
There is no
relationships.
such thing as someone not letting you go. You choose to stay.
Oh, because when you care for somebody, you kind of like.
That's my point. Understand the definition of what it means to actually care for someone. If you actually care for him, you will do what is best for both of you. And that means you will find what works for you. And even if it's not something that he immediately enjoys, you are giving him a chance to actually go and find what works best for him, even though he may not understand that. Regardless of what he says he wants, if you understand that that's not what's best for him and not what's best for you, do what's best for both of you, not what he thinks he wants. You understand the difference? Does that help you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Very good. The closer I get to this chair, the more emotional I get.
Oh, all right. That can be a good thing, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And to you, good day.
Good. Thank you. Hello. This is kind of a burning question.
Oh, a burning question.
Yeah, and it feels important to say that. And
All right.
it's and
Shall I have some water ready?
yeah, maybe, maybe. And it's really great that it's on the heels of this, what you said to this this last girl too. I think it kind of dovetails in, but
All right.
takes it a little bit bigger. And the question that I have is, I wrote it down, so I'm going to read it because I wanted to word it right.
By all means.
Okay. How would one begin a dialogue about peace with another who fervently believes that martyring themselves or killing is the way to God?
All right.
What is the entry point where an alignment can begin?
The entry point is, well, of course, it might be different for different individuals, you understand.
Yes.
However, in general, our perception would be that the entry point is in the definition of God. A discussion of a definition of what they believe God to be. You will find in many cases, of course, that the kind of people that you are talking about may be in such states of denial that you can't necessarily actually have what you would consider to be a logical or intelligent conversation with them.
Exactly.
Nevertheless, part of that is also allowing yourself to realize that may mean that you never will. And therefore, it may not necessarily be something you will do.
Well, that's okay.
That's the first thing to recognize,
Okay.
is that you may never be able to open up a dialogue, or even if you do, to reach them in any way. That's the first step in any kind of dialogue, is doing it without an agenda of needing to reach them or needing them to change. You follow me? Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
I understand that's very difficult for many of you. Nevertheless, you actually give your point more power by not needing your point to have power.
Oh, so you're not trying to convince them of anything.
You can't convince anyone of anything anyway. Can you?
No. But,
Thank you.
But we certainly do in this society have an
You
urge
certainly
to do that.
try, yes. This is the idea of trying to control reality. You don't need to do it. Now, we understand that it may be beneficial to make an attempt to open up a dialogue with certain people who may have a way of doing things that's not necessarily very compatible to the preservation of life.
Right.
Nevertheless, they may not be, in their own reality, capable of even understanding you. You follow me?
Yeah, I do. And here, see, we're talking about paradox a few moments
Yes.
ago, and this is an ultimate paradox in our
Yes.
in our society
Yes.
that we're experiencing right now with
Yes.
the conflicts that are going on.
Nevertheless, for those that might harbor a willingness to communicate with those that they hate, you can perhaps find some crack to open in a conversation, as we said, with the idea of the definition of God. However, you might also be under the mistaken assumption that they do what they do under the auspices of faith, when in fact they may be saying that,
Exactly.
and it may have nothing to do with that.
Exactly.
So the approach we are suggesting really only has to do with those that are reachable on that level. And the idea being that if you can both agree to an idea or a definition of what God is, and can come around to the common understanding that it is truly a vibration of unconditional love, and that acting in any other way is obviously antithetical to that and in opposition to that vibration, then you might form the foundation of the basis of a further dialogue, if you can even get that far.
That far, exactly.
However, this is why we say it isn't really about changing anyone else's mind. It's really just about changing yourself and allowing yourself to put into place those ideas, those implementations, those institutions that represent the vibration of the world you prefer to live in, so that when you make a shift yourself, you yourself will wind up in a world where those individuals who are incompatible with it will simply no longer exist. In that sense, I'll put it in what you would call a space-time linear kind of pragmatic way. Mm-hmm. Let's just talk about it from an incarnational point of view. Mm-hmm. Now, again, as we say, everything exists simultaneously. So it is not really reincarnation, it is multiple simultaneous incarnations. However, from the linear experience, let's say that one way you could experience the idea is that as you generate more and more energy and do more and more things that are compatible with the world that you prefer to live in, a world of peace, a world of creativity, and a world of joy, the people that do not resonate to that frequency will no longer be born into your world. And bit by bit, they will die out. You follow me? Mm-hmm. And they will not come back to your earth. They will go to another earth, another parallel reality earth if they reincarnate. They will not come to yours. And so bit by bit, you will think your world is changing. You will think they are changing. But in a sense, they are not, unless they actually choose to. But if they don't change, it doesn't mean you will continue to experience them beyond a certain point, as long as you continue to add your vibration to the world of a world that is representative of what you prefer. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't make an attempt to open a bridge and a link and a dialogue, because that in and of itself is an action that represents the kind of vibration of the kind of world that you prefer to be in. Mm-hmm. All we are saying is it is the action that you take in that direction that will make a difference in the world you ultimately experience, whether they change or not.
Right.
That's not the point. That's why you don't need to go in with an agenda. You know that your actions alone in that direction are sufficient to make a difference, no matter what they choose to do. And that's the power of having no point to make.
Wow.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You do it because that's who you are, because that is who you are, because that's the behavior that represents the world you would like to live in. And it isn't about what they choose to do. It's only about the actions that you take.
That's very powerful.
Thank you.
There's one more aspect to
Yes.
that question, though.
Yes.
If what's going on in our world, conflict-wise, and our transformation from dark to light,
Yes.
if there is a segment of our world who is reflecting to us this darkness,
Yes.
and these primal urges that,
Yes.
that we're transcending,
Yes.
then it's reflecting also to us those two parts that are within us that are in conflict as well.
They are reflecting to you things that you definitely contain. They don't have to be in conflict within you just because you contain them. You could have made peace with them within yourself a long time ago.
With them within myself, but what about the part of me that is in my dark side that's in conflict
No, that's
with
what
my
I'm
light?
saying. you can either have the peace within you that is still in conflict, or you can have that peace within you that is no longer in conflict. It can be either way.
Like, in other words, you're saying, let me see if I got this right. You're saying that when it's within us, just like what this whole workshop is about discovering beliefs and emotions and issues
Yes.
that are no longer preferred,
Yes.
right, basically.
Yes.
That we have tools that, as the person who is preferring to change,
Yes.
can utilize to transform that energy. Whereas if it's that conflict in the Middle East,
Yes.
where someone may not necessarily be willing to communicate or change where they're coming from because they may be covering it up with another revenge item or whatever
Yes.
it is,
Yes.
that's a little different because we're not in charge of changing that preference with them.
No.
We're in charge of changing it within ourselves.
Of course.
And they're reflecting some of these things to ourselves to make it more possible for us to make choices.
Yes, and
which
you
is
can
of
make
value.
those choices and still allow them to make their choices, even if their choices are different than yours.
Right. But we don't have to, in order to transcend our personal issues, change them.
No, and
It's
you can't.
there, you can't. It's impossible.
This is why it is so perfect that everyone is autonomous. Because it isn't reliant on anyone else that you change and grow. It's only reliant on you.
Which is important, because if there are people that feel that in order to bring peace, we've got to change the terrorists or those who do not agree.
Yes,
and,
I know.
This is big. This is really
Yes.
important.
And again, you can always make the attempt to open up a dialogue, but the point is, it is the attempt that makes
that
the
will
difference.
make the difference and will lead us to peace.
Yes.
Because we will gather together those people who really want peace,
Yes.
and they'll so way outnumber the ones that are not willing to
Let me
go
give
there.
you also an example of something we have talked about before, and perhaps this will shed a different kind of light on another way in which something like this can occur.
Uh-huh.
We have, in the recent past, said, and at this point, as we sense the energy that exists at present, find that nothing has really changed yet, we have said that there is a 98% probability that there will be some sort of terrorist nuclear strike in the Middle East. You understand?
I'm afraid I do, but I don't remember hearing this.
All right, well, I'm telling it to you now.
Okay.
Here's the point of this. I'm not saying it has to happen. It can still change. The point is, if it does, it is going to cause such a backlash around the world that I guarantee you the response to it will be that it will never happen again. So even out of something that you would call horrific,
Yes.
can come accelerated peace by throwing in everyone's face something unavoidable that they must look at and come to a decision about and make changes about immediately, so that they will then realize they must take action in some way, shape, or form that is positively constructed to prevent that from ever happening again. So even if it happens, it can still actually allow peace to accelerate.
Is there anything we can do to more turn the tide on that? That we can do to make sure that doesn't happen?
The attempt to express love for your enemy.
Yeah.
The attempt to express understanding is what counts.
You know what?
The attempt to express that you understand they are a part of God, even though they may not understand you are a part of God. The attempt to express the idea that if God is as vast and incomprehensible as they protest it is, that the idea is that God also created you. And if God created you as different from them, God must have had a reason in its wisdom for doing so. These are all, shall we say, the foundations of the beginnings of dialogues, but again, It is simply the putting out of the information and the behavior, the action that you take that makes the difference. Whether they respond positively to it or not is really up to them. But if you are clever, you may find a way to strike a chord within them if you study and understand what they are all about and why they do what they do. Then that's going to have to be left up to you. But I shall read you something now.
Yes.
This is a passage from what you call a Bible, but it's not the Bible that exists in your reality.
Okay.
It's a Bible that exists in a parallel reality earth where this prophecy is actually something in that Bible. It isn't in yours, but it's in this one.
The prophecy you're going to tell me about.
The prophecy I already told you about.
Oh, this one. The one we
Yes.
just discussed about
Yes.
the nuclear
I am just
thing.
sharing with you on a variety of levels some of the differences between parallel realities to illuminate several points at once. And in one parallel earth reality, their Bible actually has this prophecy, whereas yours does not.
Oh.
And lo, those with hate in their hearts did call upon the God of fear, and rained down fire and brimstone upon the holy city, and it was utterly consumed. And there arose thereafter such a hue and cry in the land, that those were cleansed away who caused this to be done.
You're going to have to say that slower. Can you read slower? Because I
Yes.
really want to get it down before 3 months passes.
And lo, those with hate in their hearts
Yes.
caused to be rained down fire and brimstone
To be-
upon
wait a
the
minute, rained
holy
down.
city.
That's right.
To be rained down
To be rained down
upon fire and brimstone
Brimstone.
upon the holy city.
upon the holy city. Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
And thereafter the people did rise in such a hue and cry.
And thereafter.
Are you writing this
Yes,
down?
I am. People did rise
With such a hue and cry
with such a hue and cry
that those that caused this to be happened were cleansed away.
that those that caused this to happen
Were cleansed away.
were cleansed away. That's it?
No.
Okay.
They were cleansed away.
They're cleansed away.
It does not mean what it means in your reality.
Wow.
But do you understand the first part of it?
And lo, those with hate in their hearts caused to be rained down fire and brimstone. That's the nuclear thing.
Yes, upon the holy city.
Upon the holy city. So it was put on, it was shot at Jerusalem.
Yes.
Okay?
The single city that represents all three religions in conflict.
Right. Upon the holy city, Jerusalem, and thereafter.
It does not say Jerusalem in
I
this
know,
Bible.
I
It
know.
just
It
says the holy city.
I inserted Jerusalem.
Yes.
But I won't if I use this. And therefore the people did rise with such a hue and cry. Hue is H-U-E, hue, like color?
Yes.
Okay. That those that caused this to happen were cleansed away. I'd like to use this. I can use this, right?
All right.
I just don't have to say it's from the Bible in a parallel reality. I can just say... I can say
You might get some
anonymous.
raised eyebrows at that.
I can say anonymous.
All right.
Because it's very powerful.
Yes.
Very, very powerful. Thank you very
One
much.
moment.
Okay.
One moment. One moment. One moment. In this context, cleansed away in that reality means all were gathered up and placed in isolation, where they eventually eliminated themselves. Are you still writing?
Yes, of course I'm writing. Eventually.
I see.
I can't remember this.
It is rare to find one whose excitement in life is stenographer.
No, my excitement is not. Well, it is stenographer because I like to write down things. I like to write down things that are important.
I see.
Because I can't remember them, so then I can access them later.
All right.
And
Thank you.
Just one little piece of adding this into of where you're. Same question. If you extend love to people, even the wildest creatures change. I think that somehow they change, even if they don't change the way you want them to.
If you want to change anything in your world, change yourself. You will take yourself to a reality in which you are then dealing with the versions of those things that already exist in that reality. They do not change.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bashar.
You are welcome.
Good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
How are you doing?
Perfect. And you?
Where are you hanging out at?
I am in my ship, thank you.
Oh, great. Love to hear that. My question is sun gazing.
Sun gazing.
Yes, it's a new thing I've come across, I guess it's an ancient practice. This gentleman's going around talking about staring at the sun between the hours, an hour before after sunrise, and somehow the sun rays open up the pituitary and hypothalamus gland, and it activates like a solar charge in the brain, and that if you do this for 9 months, your body can completely live without food. And I'm just wondering if you've heard anything about this.
We understand what is being said because of the different degrees of polarization of light as it comes through the atmosphere at different angles, having different vibratory effects upon the body in different ways, depending on the state of the person to begin with. It will not work for everyone.
Okay.
Trust me.
Okay. And collectively, for all of us, this question is about our getting where we want to get to our dreams. If we have a place we're trying to get to, and as you said to one lady, you can't reach that because your belief system isn't there.
Yes.
Are we supposed to just climb a stairway to that, just find something easy and then work towards that
It depends upon what belief systems you have. What we are simply saying is honor the beliefs you have and don't force yourself to step off what you believe to be a cliff unless you believe there will actually be a footing there. So the idea is to honor what belief systems you actually have. If you believe you can go faster, go faster. If you believe you need to take your time, take your time. If you believe you need assistance in a certain way, then allow yourself to have assistance. It's up to you.
What happens if you don't really know what you want?
The point that we talk about when we talk about following your excitement can simply be followed on the simplest level of all. And that simply is, as we say, at any given moment you have available to you a number of different options of things you could do. All we're simply saying is that that moment make a decision which one contains the highest degree of excitement that you have the greatest degree of capability of taking action on, and take action on it. And the next moment, do the same. And the next moment, do the same. It is the thread of excitement that you need to follow. It doesn't have to be represented by a big overarching life career or project. At every given moment, different degrees of excitement come with different options that are presented to you. Pick the one that has the highest excitement that you have the greatest degree of capability of actually acting on. That's all you have to do.
Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you.